Hello everyone, my name is ElenaWu. Today my presentation topic is about coral bleaching and my audience are my Ocean 100 classmates. So I'm going to talk about what is coral bleaching, how severe is the issue is and the causes, effects of the coral bleaching and one of the counter argument and solutions. So what is coral bleaching? Coral bleaching is when corals are under stress, they expel the microscopic algae that live in their tissues. Without this algae, coral's tissues becomes transparent, exposing their white skeleton. The world is currently experiencing a global coral bleaching event. According to NOAA scientists, this is the fourth global event on record and the second in the last 10 years. And from the graph here, we can know that compared to 1997 and 1998, there are a large portion of global ocean are under coral bleaching alert area in 2023 and 2024, especially under level 3 to level 5 alert. And from February 2023 to April 2024, significant coral bleaching has been documented in both northern and southern hemispheres of each major ocean basins. So after we know the definition and how severe is the issue of coral bleaching, let's look at the causes. Coral bleaching is a consequence of a warming ocean, which is directly caused by global warming. From the graph here, we can know that since 1970-ish, our global ocean temperature has been increasingly rise. So what is the reason? Because covering more than 70% of the Earth's surface, our global ocean has a very high heat capacity. It has absorbed 90% of the warming that has occurred in recent decades due to increasing greenhouse gases. And the top few meters of the ocean store as much heat as Earth's entire atmosphere. So we know that the cause of global warming, ocean warming, is increasing greenhouse gases emission due to anthropogenic activities. The greenhouse effect is a natural process that warms the Earth by trapping heat from the sun. It's caused by greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. So what is greenhouse gases? Gases that trap heat in the atmosphere are called greenhouse gases. Examples are carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, water vapor. Now let's analyze the sources of greenhouse gases from human activities. From the graph, we can know that it has 5 sectors. So now we just focus on the top 4 sectors, which is transportation, electricity production, commercial, and residential industry. Greenhouse gases emission from transportation primarily come from burning fossil fuel for cars, trucks, ships, trains, and planes. And electric power includes emission from electricity production used by other end-use sectors. The greenhouse gases emission from the commercial and residential sector come from fossil fuel burned for heat and the use of gases for refrigeration and cooling in buildings, and non-building specific emissions such as the handling of waste. The industry side. Greenhouse gas emission from industry primarily come from burning fossil fuels for energy, as well as greenhouse gas emissions from certain chemical reaction necessary to produce goods from raw materials. So after we look at the causes of coral bleaching, let's look at the effects of coral bleaching. Why we have to emphasize this problem, this issue. Why is it matters? Firstly, corals can survive a bleaching event, but they are under more stress and are subject to mortality. From the graph here, how coral become bleached, we can know that once the dealer has left, the coral turns white, leaving it vulnerable at starvation, disease, and death. So it makes the corals are subject to mortality. Secondly, coral bleaching can destroy the living conditions of many organisms, which rely on coral reef ecosystems and also destroy the ocean food chain. Thousands of marine animals depend on the coral reefs for survival, including some species of sea turtles, fish, crabs, shrimp, jellyfish, seabirds, starfish, and more, which can also show on this graph. And also the coral reefs provide shelter, spawning grounds, and protection from predators. They also support organisms at the base of the ocean food chains. We can see these ocean food chains relate to many other species in the marine ecosystem. From this graph, example of coral reef food web. Thirdly, coral bleaching can threaten coastal communities' safety. Coral reefs are natural barriers that absorb the force of waves and storm surges, keep coastal communities safe. Fourthly, it can harm the reef tourism because like every year, the reef tourism brings in billions of dollars and supports thousands of jobs. Bleached coral reefs devoid of magnificent marine species jeopardize it all. Moreover, people who rely primarily on coral reefs for sources of income or protein will be in trouble. Next, let's look at one of the counter-arguments. Some argue that coral bleaching is a natural process that plays a role in the evolution of coral reefs. According to this perspective, bleaching events act as a form of natural selection, where only the most resilient coral species survives. Over time, this could lead to the emergence of stronger, more heat-resistant coral populations. While bleaching does cause stress and mortality in corals, supporters of this view believe that it ultimately helps reefs adapt to changing ocean conditions. So this is the explanation of this counter-argument. After we explain one of the counter-arguments, let's look at the solutions. So what can we do? Because we already analyzed one of the direct cause of coral bleaching is the greenhouse gases emissions. So we start with this point. We need to reduce the greenhouse gases emissions from the human activities. So what can we do as individual? We can use public transportation or carpool, turn off lights when not used. Reduce water waste by fixing leaks, using water efficient appliance, and like for the government, for scientists, and like for factory, we can transitioning the renewable energy sources, increasing energy efficiency, and implementing carbon capture technologies to solve this problem. Secondly, establishing and enforcing marine protected areas can help safeguard coral reefs from local stressors such as overfishing, pollution, and coastal development. Thirdly, coral restoration projects. Techniques such as coral gardening, where fragments of healthy corals are grown in nurseries and then transplanted onto degraded reefs, are showing promise in helping reefs recover. So, in conclusion, coral reefs are not only a crucial part of marine ecosystem, but also essential to human life, especially for coastal communities. Given the severity of coral bleaching, we must recognize its seriousness and take action to address this growing issue by reducing greenhouse gas emissions and promoting conservation efforts. We can help protect this vital ecosystem for future generations. Together, we can make a difference. So this is the sources links. Thank you for your time.